Welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Shit ATL with your host, Amanda Ellenberg.
And I'm Prodigy Q.
And if you've noticed, if you've been a follower for a while, we don't have Teddy in our episode today. Yes. He is at the spa, so not really. It's not that fancy. But he's getting shaved down for summer. So he'll be back, don't worry.
Because that is in his nature, man.
Yeah.
He's so spoiled. And it's probably definitely a spa day for him right now. Like, seriously.
I know, because last time they actually took him out of the cage. Like, they normally keep him in the cage while they're doing other dogs. Yeah. They took him out and let him play in their little living room area because he did better with that. So they let him just free roam and have all the toys and the bones and all the things.
He was loving it.
I know.
Spoiled.
He's so spoiled.
I
know.
Crazy.
It's not just me.
Right, small. If y'all ever want to know who the diva is of our podcast, it's definitely Teddy.
For sure. And he came from the streets. I say all the time. He forgot where he came from. And now he likes to flip a script and demand excellence all the time. Don't give his mama a break for nothing.
I love it.
I love him, though. He's my little baby. I miss him even when he's gone. Yeah. But it's nice to have a little mom break, you know? So we're gonna start this episode. We've been thinking about playing some games. We're gonna start with something that you know, but a little different version. Yeah. So we're gonna play with the Smarts Against Humanity, and this will be a hero's downfall story that we tell together.
Yes, which is kind of the first time we kind of did that.
Yeah, we did that last time at the very end. So check out our last games episodes. There's one from season 1 and one from season 2, and we have hangover cures on season 2, and then Madhouse Stories on season 1.
This is the first time actually playing this game for season 3, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Okay. Well, we gotta. Okay, are we going to start with a little bit of... I mean, I guess we could just go. A little positivity and then downfall?
I don't know.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you'll find out with us.
Right. Okay, cool.
Okay. I saw one of them. I didn't mean to. But just one. Yeah, so are you going first? Or I can go first?
Go first.
Okay. So, our hero... Do you have a name or can I give him a name?
Give him a name.
Okay.
Make up a name.
Our hero, Anthony, has been... No, actually, never mind. Our hero, Ashley... I want to give it a female name, actually. So our hero, Ashley, has been, living her whole life trying to find the answers, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the answers that she's found, she's gone to school, got a doctorate at this point, and all that she wants to find out is, what is the answer to science?
The answer to science. And see, that's what makes her our hero, because she's always thinking about like the world and how she can help the planet out and all those kind of things. But in her quest of, learning about science, I think she began to kind of take a turn. And then she really wanted to, know, what is it like, being on fire?
Yeah. Who wouldn't like to know?
Right. Who wouldn't like to know? It's crazy, right? It's a thing.
Yeah. And I mean... Through being on fire, she found out that she had some test subjects. This is where it starts to get a little dicey because, these test subjects did volunteer, but they didn't really know what they were fully signing up for because she was like, okay, so if we're on fire, what all can you not do when you're on fire? And she found out through her test subjects that actually once you catch on fire, that you're running out of semen.
Oh,
yeah.
See, so that's a thing, you're on fire, you're running out of semen, which I can believe that. And if you're on fire, As a matter of fact, I think studies show that being set on fire is the best form of semen retention. Actually,
you want to turn yourself off?
Yeah,
set yourself on fire.
And I think that was through one of her studies. Is what the point. It's one of her major studies.
That was her top.
But she also, put in there because you think about you set on fire. You're having semen retention. What could bring it back? And then she was trying to find different things. That would work in order to bring that semen back. And she found out that there's test subjects. She forced them to eat boogers. And it's crazy.
So did that turn him on? I think they produce more semen.
I don't know, maybe I think it's like an aphrodisiac. I gotta go back and read the findings.
Yeah.
It was like
from what I remember from childhood, it's pretty salty.
It is pretty salty. So
I guess it reminds you of semen.
Yeah.
It's
correlation. Yeah. So
and I think she found something about the brainwave.
Yeah, I think it's a form of manifestation. If you taste the thought, then you produce the thought.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Absolutely.
And then, do you want to do your next one first or no? Okay. So then Ashley's life started taking a turn, and
it already wasn't taking a turn,
right? But her personal life started taking a turn.
Yes, it did.
Her grandma got very ill, and she was having to go to the hospital all the time, check on her grandma. And she's like, I don't know if today's the day. We gonna make sure grandma's good, and I'm gonna talk to these doctors because I know science, bitch, and I can make sure that you're settled. Mm-hmm. Turns out, like most doctors, sorry doctors, they didn't know shit. They didn't have any cure or any answer. They were just doing tests and racking up that bill for no reason. No reason.
Damn. Sorry,
so
Graham.
Then Ashley was like, Graham, I gotta keep it real with you. You're really causing issues in my life. Like, I can't keep on wondering if you're about to die. Like, you just need to, die already. So she gave her a whole speech, laying out what she did good in her life. But then, as she was ending, she started kissing her grandma on the forehead and turning off her life support.
Wow.
So she did, in fact, murder her grandma. Setting people on fire, murdering your grandma. Not doing so great.
Not doing too good. Mm-mm. However, we must also always say that this story does end on a positive note and on a beautiful note, actually. Speaking of note, not necessarily for Ashley's sake. I mean, listen, done deal. I mean, she's no longer our hero. I mean, clearly, what we thought was somebody who was really interested in society, helping the world, really wanted to, set people on fire and, cause them, semen retention.
Yeah.
But
make them jack off, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's always a hero in every story that comes out of the ashes of someone's demise. And that hero was able to bring Graham back to life, actually. Oh! Yes, and this new hero is Nickelback.
Yes! Nickelback! You got your return! People finally loved Nickelback and became the true hero of society.
Absolutely.
I love that. So, I hope you enjoyed that. That was always fun for us.
Always fun.
But we want to tell you about next week before we start. So next week, we're going to have a spontaneity episode. We're going to be sharing stories, talking about spontaneity, and living your life with a little bit of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Come join us.
Absolutely. Join us. I'm looking forward to that episode.
Me too.
Because I got some stories to share.
Yeah, I got a lot of things to share. But we won't start now.
Right.
Don't worry. We'll save it for that
For sure. And we definitely wanted to start this episode, definitely a little bit lighthearted, with a game and, hopefully made you, laugh and, hopefully still tuning in, rocking with us. But the episode this week is definitely, more so on the serious side, something that was definitely brought, to our attention. And I think, we always try to be, as transparent as we can be when things are brought to our attention to make sure that we address it to you all, to let you all know again that we see what you say, we monitor, the things that, you send back to us or critiques or whatever the case may be, and keep ourselves always accountable about what we do or what we may say. Because a lot of times, again, we have our topics, but we talk about all this stuff like in the moment, really sharing thoughts, in the moment. So a lot of things, is, based on how we feel, or just an opinion. And, we have the platform to say, if we're wrong, or if there's something that we didn't know or understand, and, again, maybe when our view is brought to our attention and that kind of thing. Yeah. And so that's definitely kind of the basis of this episode. Yeah.
We're never going to be perfect. Like, no one's ever going to be perfect. I'm sure there'll be another mistake made along the line, but we do appreciate when we have said something that turns out to be out of pocket that we didn't realize was, and someone brings that information to us, because then we can learn and grow and evolve and then share that information with you. Maybe you didn't know that we were speaking out of pocket either. So, well, it was really me. I was saying all the shit. But as a podcast, we do really want to make sure that we are very open to people's opinions and the things that they have to share with us about what we talk about, good or bad, and that if we're wrong, we own up to our shit, and we try to make it a teachable moment, not just a I'm sorry ukulele video. We all know the references. But yeah, so I do want to start with the quote-unquote hero at hand. So basically the video was me crying in the club, talking about how much I loved Gandhi and MLK and how they have been huge inspirations in my life. And the good work that they did definitely is still a huge inspiration, the good part, but everything else, as I looked up more, I was just so... I'm about to start crying again. I was so distraught and heartbroken, because it feels okay, well, when are we ever gonna have someone that's creating good who is good and still spreads good human messages? Like I said in that video, their whole message was to spread love, and then turned out that Gandhi was only spreading love to certain kinds of people, not all people, and then there was other stuff that definitely ain't love and not acceptable that we will share. So, let's get into it. My heart's fucking broken, but let's do it.
And I will say that, again, this was a video that we definitely shared on our social media, a clip that definitely went around, and some of the people in that, who saw that video, pointed these things out to us, because we was kind of confused as to, why people were in protests against Gandhi,
Someone just commented, boo, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, right, what?
What? You don't like peace and love? Right. What's going on? So yeah, through talking to the people commenting there and researching, a lot was discovered. Yes. And it needs to be talked about. So, I do want to start with a quote. Now, Winston Churchill has his own demons, but I do want to start with this quote of great and good are seldom the same man. So, a lot of people that do great things aren't necessarily good people a lot of times, which is wild. Right. You would think you're doing great things for a bunch of different people, you're making a huge impact, you must be a good person. Right. And it's really hard to determine what's a good person, because great acts don't always mean a good person, but then do you discount the good that they are doing? But you still need to hold accountable for the bad that they're doing, and it's just... as much as society tries to make things cut and clear with good, bad, ugly, any other boxes that they want to put people in, there's so many weird gray areas, but I do want to say that I don't support anything I'm about to share with you. So, I guess I'll just start with the biggest part to Gandhi. Is that later in his life, he married his wife at 13. And later in life, he stopped having sex with her and went on an abstinence for life kind of mindset. And then later on in his life, in his 70s, he started doing quote-unquote experiments, which kind of is funny that we didn't even realize that was going to be kind of the the storyline with our joke warm-up one that's very separate from this, that is like pure fantasy, and this is absolute reality. But he in the name of science, he justified sexually assaulting his great-grandnieces and a few other teenagers. So trigger warning for all these things we're about to say. But he would lay naked in the bed next to them and just try to get rid of all his lustful thoughts. Which obviously there's multiple things wrong with that. Right. First of all, it's pedophilia. They are children. Right. You should never even have a thought about them to begin with. So the fact that you're trying to convince yourself to not have thoughts is a problem. Right. Anyways. Right. Second of all, they're your family. They're your blood. Right. There's the problem with that. Third of all, they did not ask for this. This was being forced upon them to lay in the bed with him, and he would do it for weeks at a time and then switch it up and find a new one. And so, like, they couldn't give consent. They were never going to be able to give consent. And this man was so convinced that he was doing something fine because he was doing experiments and he wasn't having sex with them. So why was that wrong? Like, obviously it's wrong. Right. You're laying naked with a child in bed. That is wrong. Right. That is not okay. That's disgusting. Let alone that it's your family member. But yeah, so he did that for a while in his later life.
Was he like documented these things?
Yes, he was proud of it. Like, he freely talked about it. He did not see one thing wrong with what he was doing because he wasn't having sex. So to him, sex was the only bad thing he could do. The rest was fine because it was an experiment. Right. Yeah. That's insane. Because he didn't try to shy away from it. People tried to tell him, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't talk about this. He was like, what? I'm not doing anything wrong? Like, what the hell? Like, you really don't think you're doing... That's absolutely... I'm laughing right now, but not because I think it's funny. That's just how I deal with things. So please don't take it as that. But... like, bitch, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
and this is news to me. I mean, always news, but of course, when you first brought it, just talking about it, like, okay, we're gonna make an episode about it. But really hearing like these things.
Oh well, buckle up.
Oh no way.
I wanted to start with probably I can't even compare, but. I mean, yeah, pedophilia is worse than anything. So the worst thing that he did, and something that he never grew from or learned from or changed in, like till the day he died, was doing that. And I think he started in his 70s, but it was somewhere around later in his life. Like, once he wasn't with... He stopped having sex with his wife first. And then he also went on public record being like, she's disgusting, I'm not attracted to her. Like, publicly. Like, bitch, no, that's your wife. I don't care if you're not attracted to her. That's the person that you protect, and you don't say... public bad things about it. If you need to vent to your friend that you don't think she's cute, okay. But, like, publicly, crazy. You're crazy. Especially because he was so deep in the public eye when he was already saying this. But something else that he did a lot, it's really...
This is crazy.
So, when you think of Gandhi, unless you already knew this stuff, but generally, based on what we were taught, when you think of Gandhi, you think about peace, you think about love, you think about wanting everyone to be equal and to not have one predominant race, even though race is a social construct, like, over anyone else. But early on in his life, he believed that white people should be the predominant race. He just didn't believe that Indians should be on the same level as black people. He thought that it was messed up when he went to jail that he wasn't put with the white people, that he was put with the black people, because he looked at them as so, like, there's a whole other racial slur, which I won't say. It's not the one that you might be hearing in your brain knowing in this country, but there's another one that he would say often and on record all the time. He talked about how, like, Like this article that I'm looking at is 50 different of the most racist things that he said. And he published them in his book too. And, but I'm trying to think of I'm trying to find the one that was like the worst, but honestly, we don't even need to do that. Why would we need to do that?
Yeah.
There's proof that he did it, and I don't want to say it either, but if you are interested in what he said, look it up for yourself, because it's absolutely fucking disgusting and crazy to think that someone so intelligent, because he is intelligent, and knowing that it's wrong for his people to be treated differently, didn't recognize that it was also wrong for other people to be treated differently, and to look at them with the same disgust that he got treated with in London, because he didn't even really realize the racial constructs and how deeply rooted all the racism, prejudice, and all the horrible things that England has done. And America too, don't get me wrong, but I'm specifically talking about England. That they did until he moved there, because he moved to London. He was kicked out of buses because he wasn't supposed to be on that bus. He was sent to other parts of the buses. He was beaten in the streets. The police officers were like antagonizing him, trying to get him to pull out his records and all this. He was treated horribly, and that's like mainly where it started. Is once he went to London, he really realized the reality of what a lot of people think, and the fact that they had a government that supported that. And so then he started his campaign. He went to South Africa, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, but we can treat them like that. Like, it's just Indians. We can't treat Indians like that. And he literally is quoted saying that white people should be the predominant race. Now, he did say all these horrible, disgusting things, but thank God that he actually changed throughout his life on this one. He really did. It took a while. Took way too damn long. But he finally reached a point of like, okay, yeah, I should fight for everyone. Everyone does deserve to be treated equally. No, white people should not be a predominant race. Like, that should not be right. He finally, in that aspect, he finally grew to have a good mindset on that, and the one that you would hope that he had. And so it's like, that's another thing that's like, part of me loves cancel culture, because I'm like, if you're fucking horrible, get the fuck out of here. And I don't think you deserve a platform. At the same time, I do see a problem that it doesn't allow people to grow, because I do think that people can grow and change, and they just need the opportunity to prove that. Now, if they've given the opportunity, they've gotten all the resources, and they're still not changing, okay, maybe hope's lost for them. But like, there are a lot of people that I think can become better and can see things differently with a different perspective shown to them.
Absolutely. And I agree that, and again, I feel like, maybe again, for those things happening to him, like you said, is what led to, him fighting again for peace. So again, without those things, without that mindset, again,
then it wouldn't have even started at all. All the progress that he did make wouldn't have happened.
So and again, I think, as far as people's, I guess, plan and fate, those kind of things. I mean, I guess it must have been, meant for him kind of to go through those things, and so that could be unveiled from him. But I mean,
but we're also not saying that we hope people. I hope you understand that we're not saying we hope people have to go through horrible things like that for a good outcome. Absolutely. Let's just create good outcomes without bad things happening. But we see how it
But a lot of times that's how it is, And I think, of course, human nature is that, a lot of times we can be told this. But again, it's sometimes once we do it ourselves, like, they tell us, that the eye is hot,
Yeah.
Some people, say, okay, I can believe you. Other people, let me touch it. You find out.
Yeah.
It actually is hot, So,
I actually did that a few weeks ago. I burned my hand for real. I did.
What's with this hot?
I wasn't thinking that it was metal and it did have a fire in it hours ago. I was just like, Teddy, this is safe, and then burned my hand. Yeah, and then and he was like coming up to it and trying to smell it. I was like, no.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but.
I don't know, but I do think the things like with this, like niece and stuff, because I mean, and for all this stuff record, I mean, did they? I mean,
she even wrote about it.
Their family was okay with.
Yeah.
They was like almost like just that believed.
Blinders.
Yeah, blinded,
I feel like I couldn't find much information on all what the family thought, but from what I did find, it seemed like they just had blinders on and were telling him, like, maybe don't talk about this, but weren't necessarily being like, maybe don't do this.
Right. Which is weird. I mean, and again, and I guess because of, by that point, you know, he had already, you know, was at that, you know, getting limelight, you know, all the things, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they probably was looking at him like some type of, you know, again, like that cult follower type of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would say you're God or anything, but, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Clearly you can do no wrong, and clearly you know, you know, meanwhile you know, I mean, just that whole idea is just weird. I mean, all of it is just horrible. Like,
it's also weird that I don't know if this is what led him to think that this was okay, but like he got married at 13. They were older than 13, so I don't know if he was thinking, oh, well, I was an adult at 13, not I was a child at 13.
Right.
You know? Like, so it's still, like, messed up and weird, and, like, it's also still your family, so extra weird. It's extra weird. But I don't know if that's, like, some train of thought. Now, we're not saying, this is not for justification purposes. This is for trying to understand how he thought that shit was okay. Because it's not.
And, you know, in those things, too, like, you know, I spoke to Amanda, too, about this, like, with a lot of these thoughts and opinions and stuff about this subject. Like, it is sometimes, like, a devil advocate thing, but and like, this is one of those things that because I don't understand the psyche, it's like one of those things to where sometimes, like, not that I want to understand the psyche at the same time, but it's just.
But if I understood it more, then maybe I could help the situation
it's so crazy,
and help people move through it once they find out this information. Like, maybe I could protect myself if I see someone else with that train of thought. You know, there are a lot of positives from being able to understand how someone got to where they are, even if you completely disagree or are disgusted by their choices. Right. So, I mean, that's why, I mean, America is fascinated with finding out about serial killers and why they do what they do. Like, it's the same kind of thing where it's like, you want to understand the evil so you can protect yourself, and protect others. Because
that's...
Yeah,
that's insane. Well, clearly, I'm glad that, you know, those experiments stopped and that there was conclusiveness in it. But
well, I think they stopped because he died.
But I mean, it didn't take on. It didn't become a thing. It didn't, you know, it didn't make a movement out of it. And you know what I'm saying?
Like, can you imagine?
You're right. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, we got sexual desires.
Yeah, I'm sure some pedophile somewhere is justifying himself with Gandhi, though.
Oh yeah.
Like, like. That's what's hard about, like, how much I want all the sides of people to be shared, but then I don't want, by sharing it, to, like, someone evil to get an idea or to think that that's, like, cool. Like, it's so, it's a weird balance.
Yeah, it's so crazy, especially when you have these people in these industries or do these kind of things, because, I mean, even when we look at some of the, you know, known, like, musicians and, you know, and actors, I mean, which is so crazy that, you know, how much of this thing, you know, like, it happens and it's so weird. Like, I was from this, I was, like, looking up, like, other, like, celebrities that apparently, like, literally had, like, underage girlfriends in the public eye, and it's, like, it's so crazy. Like, it's quite a few, like, pictured up, like.
Who? Do you remember?
So I would have, like, literally look it up again. Okay. You know, it was so many people. Like, I was just
a long list.
It was a long list.
Oh,
and,
my God.
You know, we have these things. Because I mean, like I said, I don't know what we like. I mean, even though we can say, I mean, this was fat. Like, so it's like R. Kelly, saying the whole thing with like him married Lee at 16, and things of that nature. It's like, and so you get to these points like that where and I know I've heard of the conversation even when it came to like him as well. Like, do you separate the man for the music or the man from the work or the impact in history? Like where do you?
It's so hard.
Where do you draw the line? Because I mean, even with people like musicians, I mean, they have whole bodies of works that is history and the parts of history that you can't erase. Because of that, what I'm saying. Not that you give anybody a pass for any of this. I think you do hold them accountable and you make them serve time and do all things. And I say, and to me, even that personally is not
never
enough for because personally, if it was up to me, when it came to pedophilia and rape, oh man, I guarantee. Listen, I guarantee you, those rates would. Those rates would be down across the universe. But I do think that there's and all of this things is weird to me personally when it comes to these kind of things, because I see it in so many different kind of facets, like to where I do believe we're 40, 50, 60 years potentially away from where pedophilia gets a pass, because because I look at like how in lots of things in our society how children are sexualized.
Okay.
In so many, so many places and instances and is.
I have a big problem with the film industry on that one.
A big one.
Because why are there so many shows and movies about children or teenagers having sex?
It's so crazy.
Why is it
it's so crazy?
We should honestly just have a rule as a society that we don't start sexual storylines until college, unless it is some kind of like warning against teenage pregnancy and trying to help them know how to use protection, because teenagers, they're still gonna have sex no matter what.
Right.
But you're sexualizing them to allow all these evil people that want to sexualize them to like get off.
And so this is how it starts for me, in that like I remember like last year, a year and a half ago, like, I had an ex who was watching this show, and I mean, it was a show on Netflix or whatever, kind of basic, but the storyline was pretty much like it was based on like high school kids, and they were dating. One became a teen mom and all these different things, and I was like, why do you watch this show? She's like, I don't know, because I like it, and I'm like, but you don't see nothing wrong with this show. Like, this whole show is set about. People these are high school kids. They're so, even though they post, they say we have people past 18, whatever. You're representing people that are underage, regardless if the actor or actress is of age. You're representing,
and sometimes they're not, and people try to be like, oh well, of course they're overage if they're in a show like this. Sometimes they're not,
and sometimes they're not, and it is crazy.
Mila Kunis was 14. Now she lied about her age, but so good girl, good for you. Like, you got the job, but she was 14 when she was on that 70s show and had her first kiss ever with Ashton on camera. And he was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think any of them knew her real age when all that happened. But regardless, like...
But it's in there, because like, even though that show, it was just like this... And like I told her, I said, this is the thing that bothers me. If it was teenagers writing stories about the teenage experience, that's one thing. But what it is it's adults, grown men and women, writing material for people to be, or the mindset or influence of high schools and children, and that's what's weird to me. You know what I mean? That's where the weird part is, because then you have people, all of adults, who then are telling these people, maybe underage and of age, to do these certain things, to tell this kind of storyline, to show these kind of things.
And they're still forcing the actors to do it. And especially when they're children, like, it's hard enough to, like, there are things in place. If you don't want to do a sexual scene or something, then you can say no. But as a child or someone younger in the industry just trying to get a job, it doesn't feel like there's really a choice, even if legally there's a choice.
And, and it's like, what's that big show that came out? I think it was on Netflix.
Euphoria?
Euphoria, right?
Yeah.
Zendaya? Yeah.
That was HBO.
So, because I don't really watch a lot of TV and stuff and movies, and I really don't. But I just happened to watch this, and I was so disgusted because I heard things about it, but I never watched it. And again, everything I heard was, great actor, woo woo. But for me, when I push play in like within the first minute, I'm looking at what's supposed to be high school kids' body parts and genitalia. I was quite disgusted. I was quite disgusted. I was like, what? Right. What is, what I mean? Like, I was...
Even in the film industry...
I personally couldn't do it. It was tough for me. I was like, I don't want to see this. Like...
Even in the film industry now, I feel like we've gotten so far away from like alluding to sex and just showing straight sexual simulation that I'm like, okay, y'all, like, I think it's hotter if I know that you're having sex, but I can't tell. I don't think it's hot at all if it's a high school show. Let me be clear. At all. And I watched all of Euphoria, and I did like the show as a show, but the whole time I was like, ooh, there's a problem with that. There's a problem with that. Like, I'm glad that I'm this age watching it instead of in high school because it's like glorifying, as much as it talks about the issues with drugs, it also glorifies it. It glorifies having sex. It glorifies skipping school. It glorifies violence. It glorifies, like, being stuck in a relationship with an abusive man. And I feel like as an adult and as someone who's been through some rough experiences, like, I can understand the deeper message in it not glorifying it. But to someone, adolescents just growing up, watching it, that's going to go over their heads. They're going to see the glorification.
Right. Absolutely. And all this, like, as teenagers do. You glorify wanting to be 18 so you can do this and do that, and you be 16. You want to grow up so bad. It's a part of it. It's what we do. And I mean, it's all the things. I mean, even music. I mean, and again, I mean, I guess we're old soul in the sense, but you look at like our music now and music back then. I mean, even lyrically, I mean, at least the music back then was at least suggestive. There was songs that my parents listened to that I listen to now that was like, oh man, that song was about this. Because you just never know. But like our music today, like, I don't know if you guys, like, a lot of times we just recite stuff, that kind of thing. But I don't know if anybody ever actually like take time to actually read the lyrics of some of these, because some of it, like, you just reading the lyrics, it's like reading an erotic novel, like, legitimately. Like, everything is so detailed of how I want to do it, where I want to put, what I'm saying? It's so, like, again, back in the days, at least beat around the bush a little bit about it. Like, we go straight to beating the bush. Like, it's crazy. Like, we go straight to, like, literally. Right? Like literally, you know what I mean? Like,
but that's what's so hard, too, is, like, I love some of that for us as adults, but I am terrified for the impact on young minds. Like, it's such a combination where it's like, but I'd be willing to give it up for me, even if I love it. I love that BDE song. I love the wet ass pussy. I love it all. But I see how it could lead to problems to children, and they are our future, and we have to protect them and make sure that what we're doing is right by them. And I feel like there's a lot going out in media that, although it might be helpful for adults, it's hindering children, and it's also leading to some people thinking that pedophilia is acceptable.
This is right. And then you start to get those points where, I was looking at, the discrepancy. There was like, and it was so crazy. There was a post I saw about, I guess, a female teacher who was, the headline was like a female teacher was trying to have like a threesome or something with some of her students, and it's like, it is so crazy how, like, so many people in the comments, and especially dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially a lot of dudes was like, oh, I wish that was me, or I would, and it's like, and it was just so disturbing because, like, you're internalizing saying that, you basically say that you wish you was sexually assaulted as a child. Yeah. Basically, I'm saying, regardless, it's like, oh, I wish a older woman would hit on me, what I'm saying? But it's like, that's that's not, you know what I mean? Like,
I remember
that's not okay, because it's like, and I feel like when you project those things upon yourself, you project that to somebody else. So,
yep.
You know what I mean?
And I grew up listening to Stacy's mom. It's hard because I still love the art. I still like the song. But I see how, like, I mean, there were teachers in high school that probably, if they tried, I would be down. Because I was, like, attracted to them. And that's okay, I guess, for kids to think that way. It's not okay for adults, because we have, like, better thought processes, and we understand, like, the dynamics of how society should be, and, like that's wrong. We understand more about what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel so, first of all, the ones that I was, like, that I did think were fine, they would never. Yeah. I know that they are stand-up people, and I guarantee you that they don't have anything in their body like that. Right. Like, they do not. But I am so incredibly thankful that I didn't have to deal with that level. Like, I had different level of assault, but I'm so thankful that nothing like that happened, because I can't even imagine the extra trauma that you have where you just, like, really don't trust anyone. You don't trust any authority figure, and you just don't feel safe at work. Like, that would lead to everything.
Right.
And, like, and it's so wild how it is depending on what the sex is. Yeah. Because female teachers to male students, hyped up. Everyone's cool with it. Even when the news reports on it, they report it differently. Yep.